Non sequitur. Your facts are uncoordinated.
Warning. The following live stream is intended for an uncommon audience. Those suffering from religious celiotitis, idiotic use of the word scientism, or geoplanetary flatardation are advised not to watch any further, as this could result in symptoms including feeling triggered, loss of wokeness, or the need to comment in all caps. However, if you think bold ideas are righteous, unique perspectives are gospel, and strong opinions are sacred, then we say hallelujah. This is Non Sequitur. Never follow. And now, here are your hosts, Kyle Curtis and Steve McRae.
Flame on.
Wait, sorry, go open the fire. There you go.
Steve, did you see that?
I did.
Well, we first are going to clap for David. I didn't know that the rocket thing was going to be happening. That is a pretty cool thing indeed. Wow, David.
You outdid
Outdid
yourself. Yeah.
It surprised me because I'm used to seeing the same thing every single day, and then all of a sudden, when you see a rocket shooting up on your screen, David, get in here. When did you do that?
It was something I cooked up today. It was, we figured, we could do a green screen rocket, and because it's Madman Mike, and he did his rocket.
Well done.
Congratulations, Madman Mike, on your rocket.
Yeah, well done.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So welcome to Non Sequitur. I'm Kyle Curtis. Steve McRae is back in his usual spot. So
I'm doing the Kyle thing today. People don't get too excited because it's all you get. No more.
Yeah. I did, but
and it is hot in here, so whatever. It just doesn't. You know what? Doesn't work for me. I'm not as sexy as Kyle.
Oh yeah.
We'll lose subscribers if I have that open for any longer.
Yeah, button it up then. We don't need any of that.
Much better.
So and we have two very special guests with us. Both have actually been on the show before. You recognize actually also looking very dapper himself. Dr. Joshua Bowen is here from Digital Hammurabi. Hello, Dr. Bowen.
How are you guys?
Excellent. Actually, I'm not. I should be in my bed with a pint of ice cream and Jennifer Aniston rom-com. But for you people, I decided to get out of my depression and come to the show.
It won't be your birthday anymore in a few hours, so just think of it that way.
Thank God.
Yeah. It'll be
Well,
over.
actually, no, it's just one step closer to 33. And we also joining us, the gentleman who people said could not do it. He built his own rocket, and he said that he was going to shoot himself up into the air, and he did just that. And we are thankful to have him on here in one piece. Mad Mike Hughes. Hello, sir.
Yeah, how are you? Thanks for your time. It's good to be here, guys.
Thank you for yours. I know that you have a lot going on, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. I've only got a couple things to go through about what's coming up. We're only going to hit two, I believe. The first one is going to be tomorrow's show. That's going to be with Mr. Atheist, Jamie Sislow, and Shannon Q. We're going to be discussing should voting be mandatory. That's going to be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. So join us for that. And then this is just announced next Friday, the 27th. If anybody remembers, this past Friday, we had Jeranism and Red's Rhetoric in a debate for the model of the flat earth. Jeranism did not have a flat earth model, but Awoke Souls and the Limitless channel have announced that they do have a model. So they will be joining us next Friday with Red's Rhetoric and Sean Hufford. The four of them will present their best case for a model for the earth. So join us for that next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into tonight. We're going to be discussing in depth the military, and we decided to have Dr. Bowen come on since he is a 10-year veteran of the Air Force. But before we get into that, I wanted to kind of chat with Mike for a second about something unrelated. Two things, actually. Mike, you, about a little over a month ago, finally, against all odds, was able to propel yourself up into the air on your rocket. Can you kind of take us through the seconds before you were shot up and how fast your heart was pounding and what it was like when you finally got up there.
Well, it's been almost 4 months now since I launched myself in my own rocket. And basically, it's the first time anyone has ever designed, built, and launched himself in their own rocket. In fact, I've done it twice now. And we took off vertically, which no other man has done outside of a government space agency. And this was just kind of a test launch to raise awareness to hopefully get me to space. Hopefully within a year, 62 miles up to prove what shape the planet really is, and hopefully inspire generations of people. But it was quite an experience. When you're walking up the ramp to get into the rocket, you're wondering if you're walking up to the hangman's noose. You have no idea. That thing had never been tested. I never had ever fired off the propulsion system. And so it was a complete daredevil act. I mean, I have faith in my ability, my knowledge, but still, you're flinging yourself up in the air.
Yeah.
And with something that's never been tested. And I don't know if a handful of people in the world would even do that.
No, I can guarantee you they wouldn't. How did you get?
1,875 feet.
Woo.
And we figured it went 350 miles an hour. So basically, I accelerated a top fuel dragster going vertically.
How many G was that?
We figured 4.3 to 7 Gs. We took off around 6,200 pounds of thrust. Now, I want you to remember this thing is sitting there with 610 pounds of water in it. My weight, the weight of the rocket, and it has to overcome that weight before it can even move.
That's insane.
So it took about 1,500 pounds of, it is. You think about that part of it. I'm a very brave guy, and I will roll the dice. Most people will not do that. Travis Pastrana will not do this, okay? He will not do this.
Did you
I don't care what he did I don't care what he did the other day on History Channel. We put a challenge out to him for a rocket race in Sturgis next year. Him and Robbie Knievel racing me in a rocket.
Oh, he better accept that. I would love to see that, actually. Wouldn't you, Steve?
Oh, yeah. I would definitely watch that.
Now, I saw in the video when you came down, it looked like you were injured a little bit, or, did you get hurt when you on impact?
Yeah, basically a week and a half later, I finally went to the hospital, and I had basically crushed 20% of my L2 vertebrae in my back. And I figured I had a compression fracture. I didn't know how many. So now that makes the third time I have broken my back, three different times now.
Okay, it might be time to retire from the daredevil, and I think once you've gone 1,875 feet, you can rest easy for the rest of your life, don't you?
Well, I don't. Yeah, I think I can claim to be the king of the daredevils. Honestly,
yeah, I would say.
How old are you, Mike? I want to go to space. I'm 62.
Woo, that's incredible.
Yeah, 62.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So if that's not enough, let's move into real quickly your run for the governor of California. How's that shaping up?
Well, it's just kind of slow because I'm just the only one working on it right now. I am in the general election. I have registered myself. I have placed on notice the Secretary of State in Sacramento and the voter register office here in San Bernardino about how I'm going to do this. And all of the major players in this, I'm going to eliminate them lawfully. Now, I will not discuss how I'm going to do it, but I know how to do it. And it's going to get pretty ugly for them personally. They will not be able to do anything. They'll plan to live underneath the bridge by the time I'm done with them.
That's politics, though, ain't it?
It is. It's the problem is this state has been taken over by a bunch of liberal a-holes that has no business even in office. And most of these people are bar attorneys, which is the first thing I would do is eliminate any bar attorney from holding any office in this state.
That's not going to make you very popular, Mike.
I don't care. I do not like bar attorneys. They are foreign agents and they are unregistered.
What party are you running for?
I don't want parties. I will not be part of a club that would have me as a member.
Okay, so you're running as independent.
Yeah, just independent. No, there's just no need for that stuff. I just don't see the advantage in it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, okay. Well, what I'm gonna do, and actually, before I turn it over to Steve to introduce the topic tonight, you said that You have a CBS thing. CBS came and did a thing on you too, didn't they? Mike?
Mike, still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
You still there?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You were saying that CBS
Okay.
came in and did some a segment on you too, didn't they?
Yes, CBS Sunday Morning, which is a show that's been on for, I think, 40 years, came out and is already filmed. I will be, I guess, featured on a 7 to 8 minute segment within a month on that.
Good deal.
Nice.
Well, that's exciting. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Steve, who's going to introduce the topic and then let you guys make your cases on the military. Steve?
Sure.
Yeah, so let me kind of tell how this actually got started here. Mike, we've known since we've introduced him to the community and talked to him about his first launch, and he's actually been a friend on my Facebook page. And so we would communicate every so often, and he happened to leave a message on one of my posts dealing with the topic we'll be discussing tonight, that he's very much against the military, against the troops, and against war. Basically wants to eliminate them across the board. Is that basically a proposition in a nutshell, Mike?
Oh, correct. Yeah, we don't need a standing army.
Okay, so what we did was we matched him up with Dr. Bowen here. You guys obviously know him from Digital Hammurabi. So instead of just like introducing you guys, everybody knows you guys by now. So let's just like jump into the topic if you guys want to, and maybe Mike can kind of make his case, and then Dr. Bowen, you can kind of give him some pushback on it from your position. Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay, Mike, go ahead. Tell us what you got for us and what you were talking to me about on our Facebook page.
Yeah, so basically, I don't believe that we need a military. We need militias. And this is why. In 1933, this country went bankrupt. We were declared enemies of the state. That means anybody going to war, they're not fighting for my freedom or anybody else's freedom. They are fighting and for profit for the military industrial complex. It's what they're doing. And all these wars are just between actually governments. They're not between people. Do you think people in Iran want to attack us? No. The people in North Korea? No. The people in Vietnam? No. It's governments doing that, and it's all lies. And the people are dying over lies, and people are profiting from it. So I want to give you some examples. That has something called Operation Northwood, which the Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, signed off on for attacking American. I hate to use the word American because they're just basically U.S. citizens, attacking citizens and blaming it on Cuba to get us into war with Cuba. That is a proven fact, which may be one of the reasons Kennedy got shot, because he would not sign off on it. He would not sign off on it. Now, you got to realize the day before 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld, another criminal which should be in prison, actually should be living in a hole underneath the prison, said that $2.3 trillion were missing from the Pentagon. Now, of course, the next day is 9/11, and this is never brought up again. But since then, I think there's $20 trillion missing. Now, where's this money? The Pentagon is the only black hole that I know of. When the scientists talk about the black hole, it's the Pentagon. We do not need the military. We don't need people going over and killing civilians in other countries and taking over resources, stealing, actually guarding the opium plants is what we're doing in Afghanistan, which Pat Tillman stated that the same gentleman got shot in the face that our government denied for months, if not years. It is absolute scam. All of it is a scam. It's all for profit.
Do you want to just jump on that, Dr. Bowen, or I'm not quite sure where to kind of what the jumping in point on that is.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I guess I need to say at the outset, this is, I had a professor at Hopkins, and he used to sit back and say, "This isn't my field. This isn't my field." Of course, it was his field when he said it. So, but this really isn't my field. I suspect, though, that my experience in the military might be of interest. So I was 10 years in the Air Force. I came in when I was 17 years old as a slick sleeve airman basic, and made my way up to lieutenant before I started at Hopkins when I got out. So, I mean, I have some experience in the military. So I don't know really where to start here. I guess maybe I'll ask questions. So it sounds like this is, Mike, this sounds like an ideal state, maybe, that if in fact we could somehow get to a place where other government agencies, government leaders were not, bringing their troops to attack other countries or to threaten our country, then maybe in that ideal situation we wouldn't need a standing army. We could have a militia. But I mean, that doesn't seem like that's reality. And correct me if I'm wrong. So how do we, in that less than ideal world where we do have tyrannical governments that are ostensibly threatening other countries, how do we handle that as far as protecting ourselves and protecting our allies?
Well, right now, sir, all the wars that this country, or this actually, let's talk straightforward. This is a bankrupt corporation. It's a foreign corporation. The United States is not a country. It's a de facto government. And the wars that they are fighting right now, and they are bringing young men into, is wars for Israel. And that is documented on the PNAC agreement from September 2000 that was authored or drafted by a dual citizen from the United States and Israel. His name was Paul Wolfowitz. And all these wars are Israel's wars, all of them. Israel is the true enemy of this world.
Okay.
Now,
I mean, sorry.
You
go ahead.
find out that this. Oh, that's okay, sir. Basically, what I understand, the budget for the defense per year is something like $260 billion a year. Now, why can't we just cut half of that budget? Okay, and let's try to fix some problems here in this country. That's all we've got to do. And it's just everything goes excessively. I mean, do we need these new planes they're talking about? Do we need all this? We really don't. As far as I know, Iran has never attacked another country in its history. I don't know. I think all this stuff is fabricated. I mean, do you really think that squirrely dude over in North Korea was ever going to nuke us? There's no way in the world.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have to say I have no expertise in this at all. I'm just trying to speak from what seems logical to me. So forgive my ignorance on some of these packs that you're talking to. But go ahead. Sorry,
Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, I think your connection is going out a little bit.
I mean, I guess the thing that concerns me, sorry, while we're getting him back, the thing that that I think about as I'm sort of taking this in, and again, I'm sure that there are listeners out there that are far more educated in these matters. But I mean, speaking from my experience in the military, I don't know. I mean, I knew a lot of people in the ranks, and that's true that, I never knew anybody up at the Pentagon, and I never knew anybody in the White House. But I do know, at least as far as my senses could tell me, that there were real threats to the United States, and that's what we trained for. And that's what I fixed. I repaired aircraft, C-5s out in Delaware to support those missions. And I've been to Syria, so I know about, and I've been to Germany, and so I've traveled a fair amount. But I guess my concern is when I look back through.
Yes.
Oh, you're back. You're back with us, Mike. I think
Yes, that's scary.
Okay, we got you back though.
Okay.
All right.
It's a government shutting you down, Mike. That's what it was. They were.
Get the truth out, Mike. We know how it is, man. We get technical problems. We think we're being DDoSed.
You know what's happened, guys, is I have Verizon, which was the best thing up here where I live in the high desert, but they put a new cell phone tower about 3 or 4 miles from me, and it has ruined my cell phone service.
Oh, wow.
It don't even make sense, but that's exactly what happened. It's been that way for 2 months now.
So now that you're back, though, we needed some clarification because we're not sure.
Yes.
Did you say that as far as you know, is Iran never attacked anyone?
Well, as far as now, there might have been some individuals from Iran, but I don't think it was a country. you don't know what kind of cells are in these different countries. But, let me put something really in perspective. And another gentleman told me this one day, and it hit home with me. When 9/11 happened, and so whatever planes or drones were flown into these buildings, and I'm not sure they wasn't military planes, is they blamed it on Saudi Arabia. Okay, they blamed it from these terrorists from Saudi Arabia. So why would the first country we go to attack would be Iraq? Wouldn't you think we'd go into Saudi Arabia? Does that make any sense to anybody other than me?
I don't think that's how it played out, but maybe Dr. Bowen can address it.
Oh, I'm sure that I can't.
Well, because we didn't. Okay, then in 9/11, we didn't know who did it. I mean, obviously there was a lot of miscommunication, a lot of things going on, a lot of chatter. I think personally that one of the reasons we went into Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11 whatsoever. I think there's just a tangentially related stuff. I mean, we obviously knew where the pilots came from that went into 9/11. We have their information, we have their training, we know who funded them. That wasn't Iraq.
It was not Iraq. So why don't we attack? You think we go attack Saudi Arabia?
Completely different things, and I think you're conflating.
Yeah. It's just nothing makes, once you start following the money trail, and that's what everything relates to now. You follow the money trail. At one time, I understand there was 3 times the amount of contractors in Afghanistan than there were soldiers. Why?
Well, how about you answer? How about you guys answer this question? Because this is kind of going all over the place. And Dr. Bowman,
sure.
I'll let you go first. Maybe you support the troops. You believe that we should have troops, and Mike doesn't. Can you kind of tell us from your military experience? And I'm prior military myself, so I'm full disclosure. I'm very pro-military. Why you think we should have a standing army?
I mean, I guess a couple of things. One, sorry, every time I say this and I'm in a field that I don't have expertise in, I always sort of hedge my bets here. So I apologize for that. I could be convinced otherwise, right? But as in my experience and my logic, I'd be concerned about external threats, right? So let's say we demilitarize. Let's say we don't have a standing army. Let's say we just have militias. The world seemingly is a very different place, than it was in the late 1800s, and technology is far more advanced, and the range of weaponry. And I guess my gut reaction concerns would be, it seems like that would leave us extraordinarily vulnerable, and it would leave our allies very vulnerable as well. So I'd want to know how to address those issues without a standing army.
Okay, Mike, what about you? I mean, he makes valid points, and I concur with that. I mean, what would happen if we did get attacked by some nation, or even just cells? What would we do to have our defend ourselves?
Well, when was the last time we had someone attack our shores?
Could that be because we have a military?
Well, I just think that this country is the terrorist. And they're using the military, just like they're using the military as a strong arm. Everybody, just like these metropolitan police departments use their police departments to strong arm people. That's their law enforcement. And these people aren't even enforcing the law. It's the same thing to me. We're enforcing our will in other parts of the country. Let's get down to the Middle East, okay? Nothing we can do there is going to fix that deal. And I want to refer everyone to a gentleman named Roy Fanning. Roy Fanning did 2 tours in Afghanistan, from what I understand, and he wrote a book called Worth Fighting For. He got over there and found out these wars are bogus. They're bogus, just like Pat Tillman figured out. It was all bogus. You're guarding opium fields over there. It's what you're doing. And it's just absolutely bizarre, the money that's being spent. And only a few people is benefiting from this, and that's these defense contracts, Halliburton and these other people like that, maybe Carlisle Company. To me, none of this stuff makes sense. None of it makes sense.
Okay.
So I hear you. I mean, and again, it's difficult for me to say yay or nay to those things because it seems outside of my outside of my range. But I mean, how, just practically speaking, I mean, what would we do? So if we demilitarized and all we had were local militias, I mean, the first thing that I think about, just sort of maybe pressing that question a little bit more, is I mean, if you have a militia, even the militias have structure, right? I mean, to some degree, it's not obviously to the same
Yes.
degree, but,
Yes.
so I wonder if over time, what wouldn't happen is something akin to what we have now. Anyway, I don't know that obviously, but so maybe that just goes back to my first. What would we do for national defense?
Well, I think there's several different ways to maybe look at this, to attack it, to make a different plan. Because what's working, what we think is working now, isn't. And it goes back to something that's very simple, and that is, when is the last time you watched the evening news and they told about how many people were killed in battle that day? They don't do that anymore. They don't even allow caskets to be filmed being unloaded from planes from dead soldiers overseas. They don't allow that. Then you do all this research and you find out, well, wait a second. Back in the Vietnam, they were actually smuggling drugs in the caskets of dead soldiers. That is a proven fact. The CIA had their own airline called Air America. I mean, they're using these wars for other things. It just, to me, it's total insanity. It's total insanity to spend $260 billion a year, and you had 800 people die on the streets in Los Angeles last year, homeless people, from malnutrition, from disease, from mental illness. There was a lady that died, homeless, 5 miles from me here 2 days ago. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, died, homeless person, from being from dehydration. It is absolute madness.
I'm not
So
sure
you're
what
wanting
answers
to
this
take
question, though. I mean,
some of the budget
what
from
would we
the
do?
military now and allocate that towards situations like the homeless, correct?
Oh, it could be anything. Urban farming. It could be a lot of things. Building homes out of plastic. Anything other than war. It's absolute crazy, and it's not getting
I don't
any
think that,
better.
go ahead.
I mean, we're losing all these wars, and how long we've been in the war on terror? 17 years now. To me, either we've won it or we've lost it. Just like the war on drugs, we've lost that war. Okay, because we're allowing the drug dealers still to come over from other borders. Just like we got to realize you got to have an enemy, or you don't have any wars. We invent our own enemies in this country because all the enemies we've had, we funded them originally. Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset. His name was Tim Osman. He was in this country. He went to all the military bases. He may have even went to the White House. I cannot prove that, but he did go to military bases. Okay, we invented him. We supported him in the 80s. That is not the first time, and that's not the last time. That's what happens, and that is the truth.
Well, did you say bin Laden went to bases?
Yes, he did. His name was Tim Osman. He was a CIA asset. He was in this country. He was clean shaven. There's a picture of him with an orange shirt with his doctor's pants on. And in fact, some of his family still owns. Yes, some of his family owns percentage shares in some of the water districts in this country. The bin Laden family does.
So do you think that he is actually deceased now, or was that a...
Now, you know what? I'm clueless on that because I really think the guy died a couple of years after they said he attacked his country. I don't think that the SEAL Team 6 members shot him. I don't know what they dumped off that boat in the middle of the ocean. I don't know. Everything else, so you got to realize we are living, everything is a lie, and we live in our own Truman Show. But most people cannot accept the fact that their government and everything they know is a lie. So if you want to know what a lie is, just look at your birth certificate and look at your driver's license. That name that's on that is not you. Everything is a lie. Not just one thing, everything.
Well, what is that name? If it's not us, who would that name be?
Somebody else's
That
name?
name is that name is a legal entity. It's owned by the state, or maybe even owned by the Crown. The Crown is the 1 square mile inside of London.
Is that what some sovereign citizens say, that the all caps name is a corporation?
It is a corporation. I own mine. I own it through a UCC filing and a county filing here in San Bernardino, and I sent it to court saying you cannot use my property. In fact, I have claimed some of the most important and well-known people in this country. I own their legal entities. I'm going to start filing common law claims on all of them.
How did that happen?
I figured it out. I figured out in the matrix. That's how you can take over.
So for somebody like, for the general people who are going to be listening to this or watching this, how do they go about figuring out the matrix? What's the first step in doing that?
Well, accepting that everything is a lie, okay? Everything. And that's tough for a lot of people. You go to your county recorder and you draw up the fictitious business plan, and you take control of the all caps with your name. And that's what's on your birth certificate.
Who's in control of that now, though, Mike? That all caps name. Who's in control of that now?
I believe the state is the state that you were born in.
And what are they going to do with what do they want to do with that? What's their ultimate?
Well, that is okay. That is put into a trust. Anytime that you go to a traffic court, anytime you go to prison, anytime that you're forced to pay the IRS, they are forcing you to be responsible for that all caps corporation, legal entity, and that is also the crime of personage and barratry. And that's what I tell these people when I walk into a courtroom. You cannot use my private property.
So, if there's lots to unpack there, Mike. I'm trying to.
Yes, I know there is.
I'm trying to think of where to go from here. But well, let me ask this, Dr. Bowen. What do you think about those particular things that he just brought up? Do you think that the government is responsible for lying the majority of the time, or do you think that for the most part they're honest?
So I may be tainted. I'm willing to admit that by one of the things that I think I don't wrestle with that many people that I've encountered in this community do is I have a great deal of faith in the system, just in general. And the reason that I do is some of it is my experience in the higher education academic community. So, I hear a lot that academics, for example, they keep knowledge hidden, or they keep it, they keep things, the water's muddied, and they do so because they can all agree together that they're correct, or that they have the information that they want to hold to themselves, or they want to keep from the rest of society, or what have you. What I've seen, though, being in that community is quite the opposite, and that is that, and I think we've talked about this before, but new ideas that come out, the job of the academic community is to pick them apart if possible. And so if in fact a new idea comes out, or an old idea that is held entrenched can be, new information comes out to bring it down, that's exactly what every academic wants to do, because that bolsters their career and their prestige and moves them forward. So it may be that I just have too much faith in the system. That's entirely possible.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the first question that I ask when I hear all of these things is, how do you know that? And I've been asking it to myself a number of times during this conversation. How do you know that? And I'm not saying that you don't, Mike. I'm not suggesting that at all.
Oh, no, I understand.
Yeah. But for example, some of the comments that the things that you've asserted, which again may very well be true. I just don't know. But what I would want to do is I would want to ask a historian of 21st century history, what do you think about some of the things that Mike has said? Now, they say, yeah, it's hard to believe, but that's actually true. And I'd say, wow, that's great. I have to rethink all this. But those are my questions that I think to myself. How do you know that? What evidence do you have? What are these sources when you say things like, this is a fact that they're guarding opium fields? How do you know that? So, I mean, maybe that's just a good question to ask.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
Well, I tell you what, I would like for our other guests to contact Roy Fanning, and I can send you his email, and I've got his phone number. Roy Fanning is the one that wrote the book, Worth Fighting For. He's the gentleman that walked across this country, basically talking about how bogus these wars are, and of course for the memory of Pat Tillman. But no, I've never been in the military. I would never go to the military. I know it's been bogus before I even learned all this other stuff. But, just question, why is your name in any legal document in all capitalization? Why? I'm telling you right now, it is not a man or woman. It is not you. I'm telling you right now, because I've had court cases dropped, tickets dropped, and I've got a landmark court case right now going in San Bernardino. I will not disclose the name of the guy I'm going against, but I've claimed his legal entity.
Well, let me ask you this, Mike. Is it the fact that it is the all caps in any way important to the name thing? Like if they had it in not all caps, if it was just the first letter of each name capitalized and the rest of them were lower caps, would that make a difference?
Yeah, what
Yes,
prescribes it that way? What legally makes a difference?
Well, actually, when you have, because a lot of people think it's still English because they can read it. It is not. It is actually dog Latin is a term. It is a D-based form of text is what it is. Anytime you see your name in all caps, it is not English. It is
Can you explain
Latin.
that just a little bit more, Mike? It's not.
Oh,
it's not
it goes. This show's not long enough. Okay, Stephen. I'm just telling you that is the basis. That is the start of the fraud. Now, if you want to talk about history and these wars and everything, all this history has been rewritten. All of it. And all these wars, it's just absolute bizarre. I couldn't believe it either when I got into all this stuff. I thought, there's no way all this stuff is a lie. All of it. But, think about it. They started the Vietnam War over a lie. 58,000 men and women were killed there, okay, over a lie. And where I understand, there's almost 1 million civilians killed there.
What was the lie?
The incident talking.
The
incident talking. But bring us back up to currently, all these wars is Israel's wars that we're fighting. It was all documented in the PNAC agreement in September 2000. Don't take my word for it, just research it. It was written by Paul Wolfowitz. And once George Bush took office, all those people joined him, and then 9 months later we had our new Pearl Harbor, which was 9/11. That's when all these Patriot Acts, FEMA, all this stuff was brought in.
Let me ask you this question, Mike. If you have to go through like your everyday thinking that everything that you're told and everything that the government says and does is a lie, how do you decide, or how do you know what is actually real? Like how do you discern what is fake and what is not?
Who says anything is real? We may all be living in our own Truman Show. That's what I told CBS they was here. And then what the guy asked me, the reporter said, who's Ed Harris? Ed Harris was the guy running Truman's life. And I said, Ed Harris is in our brain.
I would say that's
in our mind.
Whoa, that's deep.
Yes, Ed Harris is in our mind.
So
Wait, would that? Sorry.
Go ahead.
If I take that through to its logical conclusion, so Mike, would then I be part of that? For you? Like would I be?
We're getting deep here.
Okay, in your mind, okay, it's like I say, if you was in the military, and I do not want to take nothing else away from this guest. Our other guest is a very nice, gentleman. Okay? You can tell he's a very nice man. He's very knowledgeable, and I do not want to disrespect his 10 years of life in the Air Force. Okay,
He won't
none
take
of
it.
this is against.
No, not at all.
Okay,
Go
please.
for it, Mike. Go ahead.
That's the last thing I want. Okay, do not want to attack another man because it's not right. But
No, you're good. You're good, Mike. Go ahead.
Okay, please, because that's the last thing I want a gentleman to think about me, because he seems like a very nice man.
So are you,
not
Mike?
He's nice. He's a nice guy. Don't cry, Dr. Boone. Whatever you do, don't cry.
Just okay, because it's I don't want to upset the gentleman, but we're led down this path in our life, and the problem is it's the wrong direction. We're all taken by the hand, and we're all made to go to this public school system, which is indoctrination. And we're all taught this stuff before any of us can critically think about anything. We're all taught this crap, and then we're graded on how well we regurgitate it out. Now, how that's crazy.
What's to what end though? To what end though, Mike? Like, what is the ultimate end game for them? Like, why are they telling us all of these lies and steering us in a particular direction? What's the end game that you think that they're trying to get at?
Basically, this new world order where everyone is chipped, and they got control of your banking system through your chip, where you cannot live without it. In other words, you don't pay your taxes, or your traffic ticket, or speeding ticket. They just turn your chip off. That's what they want. They want everyone chipped.
Can I ask about one thing? Because I do have a point of contention. Because you used the word indoctrination, and indoctrination is is actually having people believe something without evidence. When you're educating. When people are educators, they actually demonstrate things by things that we know. They share knowledge. That is by definition not indoctrination.
Well, he's saying it is indoctrination because it's not true. The things that they're teaching us is not true.
But that's a subjective evaluation of that, though.
Yes. Well, yeah,
and to get back to, because I think Dr. Bowen kind of wanted to touch on this, and then we got sidetracked. You're promoting some kind of like ontological solipsism, where basically nothing else really exists but yourself. So
this is the inner solipsism of solipsism, Steve.
It's the inner solipsism of solipsism.
Well, you know what it is?
Finally works for something. But
what they're doing
in all this, what is he?
Well, what they're doing, gentlemen, is they divide people. Everything's division. I don't care if it's black against white, Mexican against that, Trump against Clinton, Diet Pepsi against Pepsi, the Packers against the Philadelphia Eagles. Everything is made to divide us, especially Republicans and Democrats, liberals versus conservatives. All of it's like that. All of it is, and they do that on purpose. They do that on purpose. Remember here a while back when they were tearing down all these Confederate statues and whatever, and then they said they pulled off the thing with General Lee and that show with that was on in the 70s because it had the rebel flag on the roof of the car.
Yep. The Dukes of Hazzard.
No one talked about. Oh yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard. Okay. That was just to divide people, because the one statue they didn't tear down was a guy named Albert Pike. Albert Pike has a statue in D.C. He was a Confederate soldier, and he was a 33rd degree Freemason. And in fact, he describes all three world wars. Now, why wasn't his statue the first one to come down? Because there wasn't a real rebellion against it. They fabricated it, like they fabricate everything else. Just like these children at the border. Those children have been there for years. That problem has.
But to what end, though?
Well, I mean, like he said, he wants everybody to be under the government's rule. But if the government doesn't exist, then what is the end goal if nothing is really real in any kind of tangible way?
Well, there is no government because it's a bankrupt corporation acting as a government. That's what you need to understand. And that's why Obama was never removed from office. Obama, from my understanding, from my research, was involved with the Muslim Brotherhood, and he was a foreign exchange student, which is how he got into Harvard.
Thanks, Obama.
Obama, that guy, his whole life is fake. Those kids aren't even his. From what I understand, those kids are not his. Those kids come from, I think, Mongolia. Wait, what's that? It's not Mongolia. Those kids were actually basically adopted.
Is that
not even his kids.
Is that because Michelle Obama is really a man?
You know what? I haven't made a decision on that yet. I know that's another bizarre thing. There's something wrong with that woman, okay? And there's something wrong with Obama. He is just, everything about that guy is fake. He's like a puppet. Okay, he's like a Muppet. Remember the Muppets on TV? They got someone got their hand stuck up their butt and they're working their mouth. Well, that's what it is with Obama. His whole life, someone's had his hand up his butt, operating his mouth. And it's the definition of Obama, which his real name is Barry Soetoro.
Can I ask what you
That's
think
why he
of
went
Trump?
by college.
I mean, do you think? I'm the first one to
okay.
I'll fully say it on air. Trump is a much worse president than Obama by every metric.
You think so?
But do you think that Trump is some puppet as well, or do you think he's a real president, or I don't know?
Well, he's the CEO of a corporation. The United States is a corporation. It is not a country. Okay, it's de facto. Trump, I know too much about him as a background. I'm kind of biased against him. I thank goodness that Hillary was not voted in. I cannot believe 50 million people voted for that criminal. I cannot still believe that. People thinking Hillary Clinton. Now, this is how bizarre it is. People actually thought Hillary Clinton is a Democrat, a bar attorney from Harvard, and Ted Cruz, who is another joke in Texas, a bar attorney from Harvard, who's married to a Goldman Sachs executive. It's the two people should have been running for president. That's how stupid it is in this country.
Well,
See, I don't blame these people anymore. I blame the people voting for these idiots.
what do you think about?
I've never voted for anybody.
What do you think about Bernie?
I think he was a plant, and I think he got screwed in the very end.
Like
No, I
a flower,
agree with him
like
on
a
the last
flower or a
part there.
tree?
I think Bernie got screwed. I'm going to agree with Mike on that particular point if I can.
Yeah, I think he got screwed.
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Oh,
with that.
Just like Ross Perot.
That kind of.
Guys, Ross Perot was our last hope. Now, do I think he was squirrely looking? Yeah.
Ross
I
Perot.
never,
Ross Perot was
Ross
pretty
Perot was
squirrely.
our
You
last
know what,
hope.
Ross Perot? You ask Ross Perot a question, he's going to give you an answer.
yes, sir.
He's squirrely.
He's not going to sugarcoat it. Okay.
He doesn't sugarcoat it.
It's like when I go to get coffee. Do not ask me if I want a chocolate drizzles and whipped cream on my coffee. I'm not a girl. I do not want girly things. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you exactly the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's what's happening in this country. Everything's just watered down.
Girly.
And Ross Perot was our last hope, and he was forced down.
What about?
He was threatened.
Do you see any other politicians that could be the next?
Me?
Well, of course you.
Me?
Of course you, Mike. We, but other than you, because there's got to be more than you. There has to be other.
Name one. Name one.
I couldn't. Dr. Bowen, do you have any?
Do I think Gary? If I had to vote, I would have voted for Gary Johnson, the guy from New Mexico.
Yeah, I like Gary Johnson. He's all right.
Fair enough.
He seemed like he's okay. Do I know his whole background? No. I know that he vetoed 750 bills that was in front of him
I know he likes
when
pot.
he was governor.
He likes pot.
He likes pot. Yes.
Do you
I
smoke?
did research that. He was.
Do you smoke, Mike?
No, I don't. But no, I do not. I don't like that feeling. But I do believe in CBD oil.
Okay. All right.
So
I believe
so
we
you
should
like
be
the stuff
getting
that's
everything out of hemp.
you like the stuff that's 10 times more potent than actually smoking pot.
Yeah,
or
you're
even
going
100 times. So you want the concentrated stuff. You want the good stuff.
Well, I think one of the answers to our society is hemp. We can make blue jeans out of it. We can make car parts. We can make concrete out of it called hempcrete. It is, and it grows in all 50 states.
Yep, that's true. And they're starting to do a
We
lot
do
of
not
houses.
Your pants
need
after you're done
plastic.
wearing them for after a period of time, right?
Hempcrete's supposed to be really good. They're
Yes.
doing houses out of them.
They're doing houses with it.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
true.
So I tell people, we have all the answers to fix all the problems, except there is no money to be made in fixing problems, only managing them. Does that make sense?
It does. I think we would agree there.
And
I think we would agree with that.
yes. Yeah.
But let me get hold
You
on
know-
1 second, Mike. Let me get Dr. Bowen here because he hadn't spoken in a while. We want to make sure that he's still with us. Are you still with us, Dr. Bowen?
I am. I'm quite content.
Nothing to add?
Well, I mean, if we, I don't know, I'm happy with the way the conversation is going, but I guess if we want to talk about the military, if we're trying to get back there, so if in fact the federal government is corrupt, let's assume that for the sake of argument, militias are then run by local governments, right? So are the local governments not corrupt? Do they not stand the same chance of becoming corrupt? How does that work, like in your system?
Well, all local governments are corporations also. All these municipalities, they're all corporations. you got to incorporate everything and bring back the common law, which is the true law of this land. So all these people that's acting as police officers or sheriff's deputies, they are also part of the fraud because they are extorting people to make their paycheck. Bottom line, they're extorting people. But it's just like they are being indoctrinated to think these codes and ordinances are the law. They're not the law. Just like when people go into the military, they think, hey, I'm fighting for our freedom. I'm doing this. And dude, you're not doing nothing but fighting for profits for the defense contractors. That's what you're fighting for.
Well, can I interject there, because I was in the military too, and I got to tell you, we did a lot more other things than fighting. Even though I was in the Gulf War, I was in Desert Storm, Desert Shield. I did 3 tours, 3 Gulf tours overseas in the Straits of Hormuz. But I got to tell you, we did many other things. There was law enforcement operations. There was different functions that we went to for political reasons. There's a lot of things that go on in the military than just war, humanitarian efforts, things of that nature. And I'm sure
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is. But just remember this: even Adolf Hitler had friends. Okay, that doesn't mean he's a good guy. It doesn't mean he's doing the right thing. So,
I think his friends were forced to be, though, don't you, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know if I liked him voluntarily.
I don't think they were voluntarily friends. I think they were kind of forced to be.
Yeah.
You know what? I never thought about that. That may be true too. See, that was in my own reality for a second.
I don't think they had a choice there. Go ahead, Dr. Paul.
So does that mean? Sorry, I'm trying to think of how this would work out practically. So obviously the people. Sorry, Mike. So how long you say this has been going on? This government corruption.
Civil War.
Okay.
War.
So does that mean that? Let's take me for example. You don't know me, so I could actually be a really bad guy. But if I tell you that I'm actually not, and when I was in, and when Steve was in, we genuinely thought we were doing good for humanity and good for the United States. When people like me and Steve are the ones that would ultimately come to, if we stayed in and we made rank, and we would be the ones that would ultimately be the generals, we'd be the admirals. So what in your system of understanding here, in this construct, what do we at some point become? We'd have to become the bad guy at some point, right? We'd have to say, because the people that have been in charge since the Civil War, are no longer living. Does that get passed on? Is there some sort of how does that work practically? Because that's a pretty, I'm just thinking about this, trying to, play devil's advocate, I suppose, here.
No, I understand fully. And believe me, I do not have all the answers. I don't spend my life, every waking hour figure out how to fix the military. That's not my main. Right now, I'm trying to get to space and doing other things in my life, and run for governor. It's just, that's one of the things that needs to be approached, because there's different ways to handle this.
You just seem to have read a lot about it. I was just curious if you.
Oh, no. When people get involved, it's like teachers. Okay, say if you're a high school teacher, you've been doing it for 20 years. You're thinking, hey man, I've got a good job and I'm doing the right thing. I'm helping these kids. And the thing is, you're teaching lies. None of the stuff is true. None of the history you're teaching is true. The English has been bastardized over the years. What else you want? If you're trying to teach science, who knows if the science is correct? They don't even teach you about Nikola Tesla in school. That's probably the smartest guy that's ever lived. Certainly wasn't Einstein.
Tesla? If anybody who's kind of studied any kind of engineering stuff has learned about Tesla.
Now, as far as electrically, probably now they do, yes. But I never heard him when I was in school. That name never came up.
I did, and I grew up in the 80s. I read a lot. I used to love that kind of stuff. But I also wasn't really much into electronics and electricity back then.
Right.
So I was familiar with the topic.
The sad thing is this is what happened in my life. I spent most of my life racing. That's what I liked. I liked hanging, going and traveling. But then I started thinking, this is more to life than this. I started questioning things. I started researching everything I possibly could. And, and I said before, I'm not an expert in nothing, not even launching rockets. And I'm probably the top amateur rocket guy there is in the world. I don't know who's better than me or more knowledgeable. I've launched more humans than even Elon Musk has. So you can't be a dumbass to do that. It's just that we live in a very complex society, but I don't think we was ever meant to live in a society like this. I think it's supposed to be much simpler. Is it technology? Is it the automobile? Is it the government? I can't give you all the answers. It's just that what we're doing now is not working. Nothing's working. Nothing.
Mike, can you think of a period just in your reading? Can you think of a historical period that you would look back to and say, that's when they got it right?
Before you answer that, Mike, let me read off a couple things to go ahead and get them out of the way before they clear off. Chocolate drizzle is turning the frogs gay from Galvis Island. I think that was for you, Dr. Bowen, because it says, "Did Megan put chocolate drizzle on your coffee?" It sounds like the voices in Russian Vid's head, and then there's one more, and then you can answer that.
That's funny.
Actually, there's quite a few that we've had. I have a whole list of them. You want me to just read off the super chats, because there's been like 10 of them already.
Yeah, and I'm just getting these out of the way real quick, Steve, and then we'll go to. We're getting ready to open up for questions too. If you have any questions, you can send those in. But Dr. Bowen, actually, go ahead and ask the question that you just asked again, and then the rest of them are questions. So we'll hold these until he gets done answering that question, and then we'll ask him what those are.
I mean, given the expertise that I have, ancient Near Eastern history, I of course study periods where there, wasn't this advanced technology, much to the disappointment, I think, of people that would argue that there was advanced technology. Sorry, that was a little poke at Sitchin. Anyway, sorry.
Okay,
No.
I got it finally.
Yeah, but no,
Use
I
a
mean,
word.
so when I think about the third millennium BCE, or even the second millennium, these are periods for their time, they were very advanced, obviously, but would you look back at those periods, or even the Middle Ages, or is there a period that you would look back at, or a part of the world, and you would say, yes, see here, this is where the government wasn't corrupt, or this is where this is what we should be shooting for? Do you have a period like that you think, so I can get some context of what you'd like to at least to some degree?
Well, anything I would say right now would be my opinion, which doesn't mean that it would be even correct. But it was the Mayans. I don't know. But any time in American history, no, there never has been a good old days in this country. I think it's always been corrupt. I think the Articles of Confederation was hijacked by a bunch of Freemasons, which turned it into the Declaration of Independence. It's kind of weird. The Declaration of Independence and the Illuminati started in the first year. They were like 3 months apart. You aware of that?
No, but that.
Yeah,
that
they started May 2nd, I think, in 1776, and then of course the Declaration of Independence was a few months afterwards. Is it a coincidence? I don't know, Guy. I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
No, there never has been a good time. There never has been a good time in this country.
Let's talk about, and this question was just asked, and we'll let this be the last segment before we read off the super chats and answer any questions that the guys in the chat have. But let's talk about the shape of the Earth. Are you? We just had a question that asked if you believe it's flat. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Okay, I believe we live on a geocentric rock. Is the best way to do it. I think we are motionless. I think everything circles around this planet. If you want to call it Earth, planet, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is it flat? Maybe it's convex. I don't know. I believe there's a firmament over this. I don't know how high up. Some people think 4,500 miles. I can't even give an educated guess to that.
So if you kept going in your rocket, Mike, you would eventually hit. You think
that was actually my question, Mike? Sorry, when I thought, man, why would he shoot himself?
He's not going to hit 4,500 miles.
Yeah.
He has to raise $2 million to get 62 miles, and that's the Kármán.
Yes.
62 and a half miles.
Yes,
so
the Kármán line. It's to recognize the edge of space.
So if the Kármán line is 62 and a half miles above the Earth, you want to go 4,500 miles above the Earth?
No. I'm saying that may be the height of the firmament. I don't know.
Okay. That's where the firmament's at. That's
Can you go through the firmament? Would you be able to go through that?
No, because suppose that is a metallic glass surface, and I hate to bring up Hillary Clinton, but she has even spoke about that twice, about the glass firmament or the glass ceiling being broken.
Mike,
He didn't mention that.
Mike, hold on now. Mike, hold on now. You know that's a phrase that is supposed to mean that women have a glass ceiling because it's it's supposed to be a way for women to break through it. It's a metaphor. She wasn't actually speaking about a literal glass ceiling that she needs to break through. She was meaning her.
Do we know what was going through that woman's mind at the time?
Well, that's a good point. Okay, that's a good point.
Fair enough.
That's a good point.
You got to realize her former business partner's dead, Vince Foster. So that's the number 3 on the list that went missing. So I don't know, man. She's probably not a very nice lady to do business with, much less be inside of her head.
So do you think that was a slip that she didn't mean to say that?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Can I ask you when they talk about things like how high a woman can get in certain businesses, they typically refer to that as some kind of glass ceiling, meaning that they get so high, but
I've heard
further,
that
but they can't reach that. That's what the metaphor means. So when somebody's talking about something along those lines in a business context, what term would they use besides glass ceiling? Because that's what the metaphor means.
But maybe
I don't know.
She's using it that way.
I don't know, man. You think you can use any term you want. I don't know. I mean, there's women that in the industry, the entertainment industry has gone very far. I think if you're, honestly, if you're a Jewish gay guy, you can go as far as you can ever want to get in the entertainment industry and the corporate world, especially banking.
Oh man. Okay, let me ask you this, Mike. What made you come to the conclusion that we were on a stationary Earth and that it was a geocentric planet? What brought you to that conclusion?
Well, it's the strangest thing. Well, I researched this stuff, and I've told this story before. One day, a flat Earth video popped up, and I go, "No way!" Okay, I said, "I can't even get my arms around this." Okay, I'm a pretty open-minded guy, and I started looking into it, and I'm thinking, "Wait a second, the waters do seem to be level. The waters don't curve anywhere else. And if we're on a globe, that means there's rivers running uphill somewhere. The Mississippi River, the Nile, somewhere it's running uphill. That's not possible."
How does that work exactly?
How does what work?
What do you mean? You say water's running uphill somewhere.
It doesn't, Steve.
Okay, a river.
No, why
river's running uphill right now?
I'm trying to wrap my head around this. If that's impossible.
Because it's on a globe.
But
it's running uphill somewhere.
Running uphill.
Well, okay. Say if you're say if you're by the equator, you're going towards the North Pole. Yeah, you're going uphill.
But that's down.
You're going up.
The Earth is down.
Yeah, it'd be going down.
Everything is equal. If you're equidistant from the center, then there's an equal gravitational pull from the center. And so, assuming
Yeah, but I don't believe in gravity.
Everything's pulling down into the center of the Earth.
It's
okay. Orthogonal.
He doesn't believe in gravity, though. Well,
I don't believe in gravity.
Oh, okay.
That's just a term.
What
That's a term they invented to explain away all this bullshit.
Gotcha. There's no gravity.
That's a term they invented to explain away all the BS they've been feeding us for years.
Okay. All right. What keeps us down on the planet then, or what makes things fall?
Maybe electromagnetism.
Okay.
Maybe our weight. Maybe density and buoyancy. There's all kinds of things.
Well, let me ask you this because this is great. I actually enjoying this. Weight requires gravity because that's what weight is. It's gravity times.
No, it's not.
But
it's density. Weight is density.
Density is volume per unit area, or is how much mass you have in a specific region of space. That's density. But you say that electromagnetic, but electromagnetic doesn't affect non-ferrous material. We're non-ferrous. So how are we held together by something?
Well, explain to me how this magical term gravity works instead of it being pulling by the center of the Earth when no one knows what's in the center of this planet. No one knows. The deepest hole that's ever been drilled is 7.5 to 8 miles. It took them 12 years.
Hell is in the center of the Earth.
It's all projected.
Yeah, that would take several hours, like you said before, with explaining something.
Oh, I know exactly.
We would probably get into several hours of general relativity to explain that properly.
Could I ask, not to derail this? So, Mike, I'm just curious
Oh
because
yeah.
you've used the word
Please
firmament.
don't derail this conversation.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's funny.
I'm glad he said it. Mike,
Dude, you
you're all
got
right.
balls
You
of
do
steel.
that.
You can talk about anything you want.
Yeah,
to talk
yeah.
You're all right in my book. You know
You're
that?
all right.
Yeah, man. I'm a guy. I'm just a normal guy, and I got 4 cats, and I just want the best for everybody. For everybody.
Well, we want the best for you too. Go ahead, Dr. Bowen. What were you gonna ask?
This is Mike. This is just curiosity. So you use the word firmament, which is sort of a specific term to refer to the sky. So does your understanding of the flat Earth come from, or is it substantiated by the Bible, or?
When I started believing in the flat Earth, I was still an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
I've read the Bible through 5 times, start to finish. I started studying it in '81. Am I an expert at it? No. But the problem is, like everything else, everything has been hijacked. The language, the way, just how attorneys have done. They've hijacked our language. It's called legalese. I mean, that's what's happened to us. Okay, so what is in the Bible today is probably not what it was in the National Standard Bible, and it was originally written or thought of or whatever. But it brought me back to believing there was a creator, is what the flat Earth did. Now, do I have all the answers? No, I do not. But I do know that a gyroscope will always find its level. When you're in an airplane, a gyroscope always is, because they are mechanical, not electrical. And that's one of the biggest things with these airplanes. If you're going down, you have to tilt the nose every 5 minutes to go around this globe. Then it should show up on the artificial horizon, which is a gyroscope, and it does not.
Why would pilots have to tilt it every 5? I mean, I'm not a pilot, and I don't play on TV.
To stay around the curve, Steve, so that it doesn't.
Yeah, you go on the curve.
But
we're grading on the curve, buddy.
I play Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I quite frequently I happen to like the game, and so I kind of get the concepts. But when you're flying level, right, you don't need to make any adjustments. You're flying level or perpendicular to the Earth, and so
obviously Microsoft's lying.
Well, I'm not a fan of Bill Gates, but that's as far as I want to go there, okay? Because he's for bringing the population down to 500 million.
Checkmate.
And he also owns 500,000 stocks in Monsanto. So that's the 2 things I really don't care about Bill Gates.
I thought you said socks, Mike.
Monsanto. Well, Monsanto also, Monsanto also at one time was involved with nerve gas.
I will agree with you that Monsanto is a evil company. I can't speak to the.
Do you think?
The nerve gas thing, but I can agree with you that Monsanto is an evil company. Yes. On that.
So Bill Gates owned about 500,000 shares of stock. So at one time, I don't know how much he owns now. So I don't know, man. I just anybody that's at a high level of power, to me, has got to be involved with the program. Even Trump. Trump is sold out to Israel. Israel is the enemy of the true American people of this country. Well, it used to be a country.
I guess that's my question, though, Mike. Sorry to sort of bring it back to the military. So, if in fact, let's say we could do away with a standing army and we went back to militias.
Well, how about just have a reserve army? Everybody's in reserves. Why not that?
But wouldn't we still have? Sorry, we just got what is that thing called? An Echo, and she was just telling me she wants to go out on a date on Friday. I think we couldn't really tell. Anyway, I have no idea what I was saying.
Mr. Atheist's Amazon thing is racist. So
wow,
I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, we got enough to deal with.
But so if we could,
You're the man, Mike. You're the man.
I'm the man.
You are the man. Go ahead, Dr. Bowen. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I feel like my questions are somewhat superfluous here, but
yeah, I like this guy. Go ahead.
We all like him. Everybody likes him.
He's a nice guy, man.
Nobody dislikes him. Why is that? Will somebody hate this guy? Come on. We need one adversarial person.
Ben the Baptist doesn't care for me, so
I was back to back. Okay.
Yeah, no, I just if in fact we did away with a standing army and that would put the power into the hands of local governments, which are also elitist. It seems like that wouldn't solve the issue, right? So I mean, as a governor, sorry, I feel like I'm trying to prep you for when you're standing up at that podium. So when they say, how will you, solve this issue if in fact you're still, leaving the power of the military, albeit local, in the hands of, the ruling class of the local area. How would you adjust for the corruption at that level as well?
Well, what I would like to do is anyone that lives, calls California, the state of California, or the landmass known as California, their home, that's in the military, I would ask them to immediately walk out on duty, come back here, and be the standing army to this state. And we're going to turn this back into a republic, which is a lawful form of government.
The only
that's what I would do.
The training.
You're going to annex California, in other words.
Well, you actually could succeed this state. See, people bring all this crap up. All you've got to do is unincorporate, and you succeed from the corporation of the United States. That's all you got to do is unincorporate. It's as simple as that.
I mean, you might be able to do it legally, but I feel like history would tell us that the rest of the
But how do you have a well-trained army if they're all?
Yeah, it never worked out for the people who are trying to succeed.
I mean, like in my particular field, it's nothing you can just go into and then come out and then go back in. I mean, it is something you're indoctrinated with, to use your words. It's a type of system. When you're in the military, I would use some kind of indoctrination there. I mean, at least as far as the military is not like anything if you have not been in it. It is a world unto itself. You are ingrained to think a specific way. So I'm not against.
There you go.
Some kind of indoctrination for that in that kind of term. So I agree with you on that. But to have a military that will work, to have something where you are trained and you can do things on the spur of the moment, right? Because most of the military is just repetition and training over and over again. It's redundancy and triple redundancy. It's just over and over again to the point where you do things where you do it by reflex and instinct.
Like heel to toe group showers,
Yeah. Don't miss those.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm okay with that plan.
I'm not.
Yeah, wait, what branch for you?
Really, I'm not.
It's a little bit different than Navy, but that's okay, man. Don't judge.
Yeah, I got to draw the lines. Hey, guys, I got to draw the lines somewhere. I'm drawing it right now. Those group showers, okay?
The showers?
But heel to toe, man. Heel to toe. That's
the showers. The showers did you in, Mike? Of all the shit?
No wonder you stayed in longer than I did, Dr. Bowen.
I don't know, man. I got my limits, okay? I've been married twice. I got my limits.
Sorry, go ahead, Steve. You were saying something that was actually useful.
I think for a well-trained army, a standing army, then you got to have something that's full-time. It just wouldn't work with a part-time regiment.
Well, okay. If we used to have part-time legislatures, and the state would still operate with part-time legislatures, so how do you explain that?
I'm not sure.
We used to have part-time legislatures in the state.
No.
No one was full-time.
I mean, you got to remember, they're not in life or death situations. When we have an accident aboard ship and you have a fire, you have a casualty, you have something you have to respond to, you do drills over and over and over again. Matter of fact, most of your time in the military, I would say a considerable part where you're not doing maintenance and stuff like that is running drills. You do them just about every other day. So when you talk about legislators, they don't have that same need for a response for an emergency situation.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay. I don't know, man. I don't have all the answers to everything. I'm just saying
that's cool.
It's just $260 billion a year. And it's just absolutely nuts. It's just nuts. And what is it? During the 20th century, the government's killed 250 million of their own people worldwide? I don't know, man.
I think wouldn't it be a better argument to maybe I'm not saying I support this, but wouldn't our better argument be trying to argue to downsize the military rather than elimination of it?
Well, okay, downside in half, anything. But then you got these guys leaving this, and then they draw a pension. Now you're paying these guys for the remainder of their lives. It's just, that's another black hole that
businesses do
no one can afford.
Don't you think
I know, but
that's a small, we should do that as a way of thanking them for risking their life and
it's an incentive,
things that they do because they are put at an extreme risk, and I think that it's not a lot to ask to take care of those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's also an incentive to stay in. Like my realistic bonus right now was $100,000 or $125,000, and for what I was trained for, if somebody's doing it right now, they will give them $125,000 to stay in for 2 more years. That's how much they need for it, because that's how much training that goes into it. There's $250,000 they spend on just your training alone.
Yeah, but it's so much cheaper to retain that.
So much cheaper to retain. So yeah, that incentive to have that, retirement or these bonuses is a hell of a lot cheaper than having to train new people, because a lot of people, my attrition rate in our class was 67%. So they, 67%, they got almost through, flushed out. They were nuclear waste, we call them. So it's a hell of a lot cheaper to give incentives to try and stay in. And I think that the retirement packages is just another form of incentive in some ways. And as Kyle said, it's also gratitude for people's service.
Well, why don't we have the defense contractors that benefited and profited from this pay all that stuff in? That'd be my answer to that.
And that's a good. That's a decent question. Where do defense contractors come into?
Yeah, let Halliburton pay all those bonuses and pensions. How's that sound?
Well, I think they come into it is because there are some jobs that are just logistically would be better off suited to a subcontractor.
Okay. Well, I don't disagree with that. I've not been over there, but I just think don't you think we would have won the war on terror by now? Don't you think that we're inventing new terrorists? Don't you think we are? Don't you think we started ISIS?
What would be a win, though? I mean, I agree. I thought like the war on drugs, I think was
we all know Obama and Hillary created ISIS.
Well, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but one of your narratives that you're putting forth, you do believe that, like, literally when you said it, Tim Osman was Osama bin Laden, trained from birth to be a CIA operative and then put in that position, correct? That's the
I never said trained from birth. I cannot say that. I don't know that for a fact.
Okay.
Do you mean Osman is like Marie Osman and Donnie Osman?
No, Tim Osman.
Fun fact, I was friends with Donnie Marie's parents for quite some time. George Osman, their father, used to come and take me out.
Well, hey, dude, I always want to sleep with Marie Osman, but don't keep me up at night, okay? Even though she's had 6 kids, I still think she's hot.
I never met Donnie Marie. We used to talk about them. Me and my girlfriend would sit with George and Olive Osman and talk about Donnie Marie quite frequently when I lived in Utah. It was great. I'm hanging out with the Osmonds, man. They were awesome people. But
that's anyway, Osmond, Osmond. Tim Osman's Osman.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of difference, okay? But I still think Marie Osmond's hot.
She's very attractive. Absolutely.
Yeah, do you think? Now, I'd pull her hair in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I had a crush on her growing up. Who didn't? That's one of the reasons why I was like,
did you say I'd pull her hair in a heartbeat?
That's what
I said. You can quote me on that. That's one of my campaign promises. I will pull Marie Osmond's hair if she screams.
Oh my God!
Just start calling me Tim Osmond.
Oh, we're gonna get sued.
Wow.
They can sue me.
Okay,
you can't get me in the court.
Let's read the super chats.
Let's read those super chats, and then we'll ask any questions that people have, and then we'll call her.
No more flat Earth, okay? That's
I know. I got
part of my life.
Sure, that's okay.
All right, so
I gotta leave at 7:00. Hey, I got things to do.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you don't take off right now, I'm just going to be reading the super chats. It's completely up to you.
Yeah, go ahead and read them.
What am I doing now?
We're just reading off the super chats that came in, and then we're going to let you say your final closing statements, and then we're done. So we're wrapping up.
That's probably not a good idea. That's probably not a good career move for you. Let me close out the show. That's not a good thing for you.
Oh, it's okay. Well, listen.
Show.
If you've seen some of the people that we've had on here, man, you are sane. You sound sane as can be compared to.
You're one of the ones we like. Okay, so
wow, I feel sorry for your show.
I didn't so sometimes. Yeah. And by the way, I have been enjoying.
Can I tell you a deep dark secret about me?
Sure.
Yeah.
Everyone else knows.
Please.
I always want to be the road manager for the Spice Girls. That was my true calling in life. That baby chick, I wanted to get them together at the same time, and that was my goal in life.
You're my favorite person ever, I think, because I am so with you. That was my life calling as well.
I too am a huge fan of the Spice Girls. So I
think they were. Yeah, I mean, they were better than.
My biggest angst as a teenager was either Posh or Baby Spice. I couldn't.
Well, Posh. Only if I beat up David, what's her husband's name?
Beckham.
That soccer player. I'd like to beat him up, make him watch one with Posh.
Oh, yeah, we would all kick his ass for her. Come on, let's be realistic.
Oh, yeah.
Mike,
I really like that guy.
You're all right, man. We got to have you. I'd
make him watch.
We got to have you back on soon. You're all right.
Yeah,
All right, Steve, go ahead and
Your
read
All
that.
right, so
sponsors
this
will
reads
allow
off, so-
that. Your sponsors will allow me to come back on again. Is that what
What
you're saying?
Yeah, we have sponsors when we get those.
How about your other guest? He's probably wanting to shoot me already.
Oh,
No.
there are all of our other guest
Doc-
guest data.
Dr. Bowen loved you. Don't you, Dr.
Except for
Bowen?
Oh,
Dr.
Yeah,
good
man.
man.
It's been
He
a
got
great
point.
conversation.
All right, so let's wrap these through this so we can wrap this up because I know you got things to do. So, fostering atheism. Happy birthday, Kyle. Again,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday. Let it be
Thank
over
you.
with. Don't remind him again. He wants to forget it.
Thank you.
Let's see here. All this work was pointless. All he needed to do was decrease his density. That was from 0, 132, 132. Exploring again. Shout out to Exploring Again community. Thanks all. Don't know who they are, but you know what? We'll check them out. Exploring Again community.
Shout
We
out.
have the Great Debate community, and almost everybody in the live feed is a member of the Great Debate community. If you're not,
Shout out.
go join the Great Debate community. G plus. Two others have a super chat, but no messages or names.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Message deleted. Brant, thank you for your super chat, but no message. Awakened Warrior, Tim Osmond paid for Mike's rocket. That's the new conspiracy.
Oh, there's a wow! I couldn't even figure that one up.
Yeah,
no,
hey, you
that's
know what?
not true. That is not true.
Yeah, but you know what?
You're
When
now
somebody
part of the
deny it,
conspiracy, Mike.
yeah, when you deny it, it just means that it must be true.
Now you're a shield, Mike.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I'm a shield for Tim Osmond. I'm a shield for Marie Osmond.
Okaja, I think. Sounds like all the voices in Russian's vid's head. I'll give you that
already
one.
read that one,
All
though.
the voices in Russian vid's head.
We read that
Fair
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we done read that one.
Okay.
That's good news.
Okay, I'm going to read this one last because great. This is one last question. Mr. Atheist, though, I call dibs on Jimmy LLC, all in caps. Fair enough. Guess that's a corporation now.
Yep.
Can Mike name 2 conspiracies he doesn't believe?
Oh, wow. Yeah, didn't say the weird one that I came up with a few months ago. I found this on the internet. Okay, the Bush family had 6 kids. Are you aware of that? George H.W. Bush. He had 6 kids.
Mhm.
One of them died at 3.
Mhm.
I think Pauline Robinson Bush, I think was her name. She died of leukemia. Some people think that Hillary Rodham Clinton is the reincarnation of the 3-year-old that
Oh,
died.
see, that's the one that I believe is true. No, I'm just kidding.
You're kidding
I'm
me.
totally kidding. Somebody's going to take me out of
Really?
context. No, I don't believe that one. No,
No,
I've never heard of it before.
Okay, so now the other one is Barbara Bush. Some people think that Aleister Crowley, the famous Satanist, is her father.
That's interesting.
We'll have to. You know what? We
Because
know
you
some
put-
people from the Church of Satan. We'll have to ask them that. I
Yeah.
know people from the Church of Satan. So.
Now, yeah, I don't know very many Satanists. So I don't know. I never asked him that. I had a girl
Hang
ask me
around our
once.
show. Yeah, we know.
Do
quite a
they really?
Oh yeah, no, we've
I had
we've had him on. We've had Darren
I had a
Decide on, and we're going to be having what's his name? Nocturus. His first name is Eric, but he's a bishop in the First Church of Satan. He's going to be coming on. Clovis,
Whoa.
I think his name is. Yeah, we know a few. of them.
Well, hey, what about that Aaron Raw guy? You had me.
Oh, we don't let
talk to
Aaron.
that
No, I'm
one
just
night.
kidding. No.
Yeah.
Aaron's not a Satanist. He's been on many times, but he's
Yeah.
not a Satanist.
You sure?
Positive.
Yeah, I'm pretty
He
sure.
doesn't. He's an atheist.
Yeah, he's not,
Yeah,
dude. I can tell you right
he's
now, he's not pretty enough to be a Satanist, as he says.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a
But he
girl
does
ask
dress
me
well
once that
enough.
really?
Yeah,
Well,
he dresses snappy
he speaks very well. He sounds very intelligent.
because he's a smart guy.
He's very smart.
Yeah.
Oh
very
yeah, it's very evident. That's a smart man. Yeah.
Mhm.
I got mentioned on my Facebook by somebody who decided to get back into like academia and stuff because they mentioned me, Arn, and Dr. Richard Carrier in the same quote, and I was like, wow, it's humble to be, even mentioned in the league of those two because those two
You
men
can
are.
learn a lot from Arn for sure.
I may not agree with all of them, but you don't have to agree to recognize somebody as brilliant, right? But anyways, let's read this
Exactly.
last question. This is actually to Dr. Bowen, so that's why I saved it for last. What is the most memorable stunt that you have ever pulled? And this is directed to you by their request.
Stunt.
By 0132 132 666 was his super chat. What
You
is
used
the
to be a
most memorable
stuntman, remember?
you've ever pulled?
I bunny hopped on my bike when I was 10 and busted my 2 front teeth out.
Wow, you're crazy. You're
Oh.
crazy, man. Yeah, I
Crazy
think
man.
Mike's got you beat on the size
Yeah.
of the balls.
Well,
A little bit, yeah.
So I think what we'll do now is Dr. Bowen will let you plug your channels. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to sum up with? And then we'll send it over to Mike to do the same, and then we'll close her out. Thank you both for a fantastic show, especially on my birthday. If I had to, this is the perfect.
Oh yeah,
This is the
it's
perfect.
been
I
fun.
love these types of.
Yeah.
These are other than the academic ones. These are my favorite types. I just love these kind of hangouts. Just talk.
So go ahead, Dr. Bowen, and wrap us up.
Sure. Well, Mike, thank you very much for the conversation. It's been very interesting. I must say.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. I wish you the best. I really do seem like a nice man.
And I wish you the best in your race. I look forward to watching it.
Yeah, me too.
So we are, my wife Megan and I are Digital Hammurabi, and we put out a lot of materials on the ancient Near East, ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Iraq. We also do a lot of biblical stuff. I'm doing a long series now on Old Testament textual criticism. So please go check us out. Subscribe to us. We have a Patreon page that we just put up. We are raising money now to send our first PhD student on a summer research project, hoping to do that next summer. So please donate. It's a really good cause, and Patreons get to vote on the summer research project that they want to see done, and which scholar they want to send. So anyhow, Digital Hammurabi. I guess that what I would say is sort of bringing this all back together is I tend to, like Mike, question everything. I do it maybe a little differently. But the thing that I would say in all of this is I would want to look at the data, right? So I have no expertise. I really don't have any expertise in 21st, 20th century politics and the history of war in the 20th century. That being said, I think that one of the things that we can all do is look at sources and determine who's making the claim and what evidence they're bringing to bear, and also to look at what I know this is probably not going to be a popular thing to say in this conversation, but nonetheless, consensus view I think is actually very, very important to look at because scholars in the field tend to, in my experience, not go with things that can be easily disproven. And so I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, and I guess that would be my contention here is to look at what are the sources, what's the evidence, and why is it that the majority of people in the field don't subscribe to these views. But I'm always happy to learn and to listen. And Mike, I think this has been actually a really enlightening conversation and given me some things to think about. So thank you.
Okay, and but real quickly, Sweet Heather and Was Answering, thank you very much for those super chats and the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it, and I love all of you guys. So thank you very much for real. All right, Mike, you're going to close us out. Guys, we'll be back at 10 o'clock for Ideology with myself and KC. I think Godless Cranium is going to be joining us. We're going to go through some of the news that's happening in the world and answer any questions that you guys have. Real relaxed birthday stream. So join us for that at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. And thank you, Mr. Atheist, as well. All right, Mike, you have the last word, and you can close us out. Let everybody know where they can find you and support you and all that other kind of stuff.
Oh, great. Yeah, I've got a Facebook page, Mad Mike Hughes. We've got a movie coming out called Rocket Man, and the last thing I want to plug is Baby Spice. Thank you.
Okay.
Go Baby Spice.
And thank you, Caroline Clark, too, very much. Well, that's going to do. Is that really all you wanted to say, Mike?
That's all I want to say.
Okay.
We appreciate it, Mike. And
Yep.
Once again, you've been leaving fantastic comments on my Facebook page, so please continue. And I'll be bringing those to people's attention as you make some things about your gubernatorial race known. Okay.
Sure.
Thanks.
I'll send them your way. Absolutely. And guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you in about 30 minutes for Ideology with myself and KC. And then tomorrow with Mr. Atheist, Jamie Sislow, Shannon Q for Should Voting Be Mandatory? Until then.
Good night.
Awesome. Oh, we got to wait for the closeout picture.
We hear you. Yes.
Close out. that was that was everything.
Uh, are we off? Are we clear? I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. Dr. Bowen, thank you for
I'm sorry I didn't have more to offer. I
it's okay.